tell us your mentality, man, about playing offensive tackle. I mean, you have the potential, just to be absolutely elite.
Damn, go ahead and share your thoughts on the thesis.
Yeah, baby. That's what we do. We are the Buckeyes. What up, Buckeye Nation? What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk college football with real fans. I'm Devin. Shout out B. Moses for hooking me up with that new intro video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think about that, man. Got a show planned for you guys tonight. It's been planned for quite some time. I've went over the offensive kind of depth chart for this upcoming season. Have not went over the defensive depth chart yet. That's what we're doing tonight. But before we get into that, guys, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button as well. And a reminder, I know I'm weird. I stream on 2 channels, Buckeye Scoop and Buckeye Boys with the Z. Go over there, man, to the Buckeye Boys channel. If you're watching on Scoop, shoot me a like, a subscription as well if you haven't already. Super chats are open as well. And also download the Spreaker app. Give Scoop a like on that. Apple Podcast, same thing. And as always, the Scoop message board. Go check that thing out. Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. Good to see everybody in the chat. Watched a little bit of Nevada and B. Moses' show, and just wanted to share a little bit on that before I dive into my show. I actually have similar information to the same stuff they were talking about with Jalen Brewster. If you guys remember, if you've been watching this show for a minute, I interviewed him quite some time ago. Probably almost a year ago at this point. So we'll get him back on the show again, have a conversation with him, but the Buckeyes are looking very good there. Yo, what up, Bob? It's been a minute, man. Good to see you in the chat. Sade, how you doing, Sade? Appreciate you. Shout out Sade for the thumbnail again. Ron, Jeremiah, Russ, Winstars, Steely. I see everybody in there, man. Appreciate the Wicked Turtle. I like that name. Is this a new name? Did somebody change their name? Is this a regular in the chat, or is this a new person in the chat? Linda, what's good? How you doing? So, yeah, shorter show tonight, but wanted to get this. What's good, Gio? I see you in there. Again, I seriously, I know I do this a lot, but I appreciate you guys watching every single night. Jeffrey, and this is why I never shout out anybody in the chat. Matt, shout out Matt, because I feel like I know all you guys at this point, so I want to shout everybody out. But I'll do it every single show. I don't care. But yeah, guys, if you remember, went over the offensive depth chart for the upcoming season, at least what we think it will be. But let me clarify, right, and also let you guys know a little precursor to this show. Obviously, this is before the spring, the fall workouts, all those type of things. It's before we start getting a lot of intel based out of those things. So these change. Nobody projected Austin Saravelt at left tackle. Nobody projected Phillip Daniels at right tackle. I said he would take somebody's starting job, but I didn't know where that would be. So I did get some info on how some of these workouts are going. But I kind of build that stuff up a little bit. And I'll do a show on that here shortly. But we're going to dive into this defense. And I think the first part about this defense that we need to talk about is the Matt Patricia conversation that's going on, the Larry Johnson conversation that's going on. Again, as I've reported multiple times, I'm being told both those guys are coming back. Larry Johnson's contract is up. There's no rush. I haven't heard anything on whether it's been public knowledge on him re-signing a new one. Same with Matt Patricia. But again, all signs lead towards Matt Patricia's coming back. It goes to far as that's kind of the vibe within the Woody, and that's been the vibe for the past 3 weeks now. But as we see, I think Michigan lost their defensive line coach today. The Ravens end up hiring him, I think I read. So as you see, I don't know when that happened exactly. But as you see, there's still some, some movement going on in the NFL, but there's silence there, which is good on the Matt Patricia front, which is obviously huge for the Buckeyes. We want Matt Patricia back in the fold here, operating this defense. And another thing you can look at, if you don't want to take my word for it, you can look at how Ohio State operated in the portal with the players they went after and the players they let go. I think it's kind of geared more towards what Matt Patricia wants on his defense, with his nose tackles and getting heavier defensive linemen in here, experienced defensive linemen, and experienced players all around to cover this Matt Patricia scheme, which takes experience. So let's dive into this thing, man. Chat, need y'all's help a little bit tonight because we'll get to it, but there's a couple positions that I think are pretty locked in, right? And then there's one or two that gets difficult. Let's start with defensive end. This one I'm pretty confident about. Obviously, we all know Kenyatta Jackson Jr. came back. That was huge for the Buckeyes, and securing him and getting him to come back. It's one of the bigger reasons they didn't go after a huge defensive end in the portal, because they had one in the fold there. I think Kenyatta Jackson coming into this year can work his way up to a top 50 NFL draft pick. He has the physical tools to do so. There was a little nugget kind of the beginning of this year about Kenyatta Jackson not being turned loose very much. So he's elite at stopping the run. And that's how they used him in the scheme. We've been hearing this about the defensive ends when Jim Knowles was, the defensive coordinator. We kind of heard a little bit about that as well. But, you got to operate at what's best for the team. I do expect part of the conversation with Kenyatta Jackson is they will turn him loose a little bit more on the quarterback this year. Hopefully we see him in an 11, 12, 13 sack season for Kenyatta Jackson. He's going to be the leader in that room. He took big steps this year in being a leader for the Buckeyes during the workout. So, I mean, that was a pivotal move by the Buckeyes, and I'm absolutely thrilled that happened. But when you get into this next spot, right, who's going to play on the other end of him? Well, my vote is Zion Grady. I think it's going to be Kenyatta Jackson, Zion Grady on the other side of him. You watch Zion Grady work his way up and be the third defensive end coming off the bench this year. He jumped Bo Atkinson. Zion Grady played in a couple games, like in pivotal moments, not just in like trash moments for the Buckeyes. Highly recruited guy out of Alabama. Larry Johnson really wanted him. The Buckeyes spent a lot of time making sure they got him in the fold here, and hearing a lot of good things about Zion Grady. But when you look below that, the Buckeyes did go in the portal and get Quay Rasal out of Alabama. They got him and James Smith, kind of the package deal from Alabama. When you heard Ryan Day talk about Quay Rasal, though, you heard him talk about him more in a Arvell Reese type of role. And when you look at the film, how Alabama used him, different things like that, that's kind of what I could see Matt Patricia doing in this defense. So it's hard to really put him at that defensive end position. Given the different packages that Matt Patricia uses in his defensive scheme, I can see Quay Rasal kind of being moved all over. Might line up at linebacker sometimes, might line up stand-up defensive end, So there's different things that he can be utilized for. But he is an athletic freak, a 5-star coming out of high school. And, you go to the Alabama board, you hear how they talk about him. I mean, he was, I think, I can't recall reading on their board if I read that somebody saying he's the most athletic defensive / linebacker hybrid that they have on their team. So his athleticism is up there with the best of them. He hasn't really blossomed in his career to that 5-star potential that you wanted, but as you know, sometimes a fresh start coming here to Ohio State with James Laurinaitis, Larry Johnson, and Matt Patricia, at the fold. Arvell Reese didn't really blossom last year. This year he did. I know he fell off the second half of the season, but, I think let's see if a change of scenery can bring that 5-star freak athleticism out of Quay and see if he can make some impacts at the defensive end position. I think that he will. Bo Atkinson. Bo Atkinson's another one in the room that Buckeyes got out of the portal last year. They fought Georgia for him. They beat Georgia out. He was one of the most sought-after defensive ends in the portal last year. I think he had maybe 7 or 11 sacks in North Carolina before that, but did not turn into the player that we thought he would be this year. Watched him, kind of fall down a couple times, and it just looks like his strength wasn't up to that level. What I will tell you after talking to people is I'm not going to sit here and say they have super high hopes for him, but obviously the Buckeyes kept him around for a reason. And if you listen to the fan base, the Twitter people, you say, man, get rid of Bo Atkinson. He's not going to be making an impact here. That the inside the Woody, they do not share that sentiment. They think that really the only thing lacking with Bo Atkinson's game is the strength, which you can get better at. Another year of experience. You got to remember, he came in late last year. You know what I mean? He came at the late portal, didn't really missed a lot of the workouts, missed a lot of opportunities to get settled into this program, and he missed a lot of weight training. This year is going through a full off season, so let's see what Schleggs and Mick can do with this offseason with Bo Atkinson and see if he can be used this year, and count on a little bit more than he was this year. He's also able to go inside and outside a little bit. He did it in North Carolina. You watched that a little bit this year, but he's got versatility. Also, Epi Citanale, obviously huge fan of him here on this channel. I think that he has just as much upside as Zion Grady. And I think that, or not, I don't think, I know the Buckeyes are depending on him for this upcoming season. He is a player that puts his nose to the grindstone and works, eliminates all distractions, and just gets down to business, man. He has all the tools. In high school, was very serious about his game. Out there in Cali, has been trained by the absolute best of them, trainers that have a lot of players in the NFL. And you couldn't ask for a better makeup in a young defensive player in college football. He really soaks everything in. And the Buckeyes kept him around. We saw in this portal, right? If the Buckeyes don't think that you're going to be a part of this roster later, they're not going to fight too awful hard to keep you around. There are some exceptions to that statement right there. But Epi is somebody that the Buckeyes are going to depend on this year and that they have very high expectations for. The final one, the defensive end, is Kari Wilder. The freshman coming in. You got Dre Quinn coming in as well. I don't think he's going to be as ready to, make an impact as a freshman, but somebody that will is Kari Wilder. Kari Wilder will be on the field as a freshman if I had to guess. I think he's one of those rare players when we heard Mark Pantoni talk about, hey, in this recruiting class, you got levels of this thing, man. You got first-round draft picks that you just go get no matter what. Kari Wilder is that dude. Kari Wilder is that first-round draft pick that the Buckeyes were not going to let go, got him to commit early, held his commitment, even after he raised to the number one defensive lineman in the nation. Go watch his film. The dude's a beast, and he will be utilized this year. Matt Patricia, has to be drooling thinking of all the ways they can use Kari Wilder because he's a big old defensive end. As a matter of fact, I questioned whether he was going to play defensive end here at the Buckeyes because I think he's like 6'3", 270 already. I could be a little bit off there. So I was curious how they were going to utilize him, but it looks like it will be more at the defensive end position. So, out of 10, guys, out of 10, the defensive end position, a 10 is, hey, we're golden. Everything is good. Where do you rank the defensive end position coming into this offseason? I'm going to give it an 8.5, and here's why. Kenyatta Jackson, I think, is, a premium defensive end. He's a 10 out of 10 type of guy. The only reason this isn't a 9.5 or 10 is simply experience. That is it. That's it. If guys like Epi and Zion, and Bo had a little bit more experience in this system, in this, right, Matt Patricia scheme, I would rank it a little bit higher. This is one of these positions where I think you give it an 8.5 out of 10 now. Very well, beginning of the season, you could be looking at this position as a team strength, as something where you got, four guys rotating in and out. And Matt Patricia utilizing each player for the different skill sets they have. So overall, an 8.5 out of 10, I'm very comfortable with our defensive ends and where we are. I know a lot of people aren't. I know a lot of people wanted us to go get some more guys out of the portal, but obviously Ohio State trusts what they have in this room. Larry Johnson's pretty good at what he does. So I'm going to go ahead and trust him as well. Defensive tackle position. This was honestly hold on, let's do this. Stars got it at an 8. All right. Steely, same mindset as me, 8.5. Okay, I like it. Bob got it 8 out of 10 as well. If you guys want to grade it, put it up there. I'll pull your grade up. I like to see what everybody's thinking here, because I do fall victim to the scarlet glasses sometimes. I really do. I just, man, I love Ohio State football. I love these players, especially the ones I've got to know. I've got to know Epi and Zion a little bit. So, I want to ask you guys, not that you guys wouldn't have scarlet glasses too, but I like to know I'm being realistic here, and I truly believe I am. Jeremiah 8.5, Matt an 8, Russ a 9. Yeah, so it sounds like we're all on the same type of page there. So defensive tackle position. I need y'all's help in this position group, because I could show you my notes. I've scratched out names on who the starters are, but I'm going to go with this. I don't even want to say it, man. I don't even want to say it. I'm going with Edric Houston and James Smith as our starting interior defensive lineman. James Smith, I think, is more of a 3-tech type of player, but he can also play nose guard as well. So the versatility there. Quick, athletic, fast defensive tackle. Edric Houston needs to take that step up. I think he's going to, but man, I don't know. You could put both the portal pickups we got in there, in James Smith and John Walker. John Walker is the true nose tackle, the big old up the middle stuffer that we got on this defense out of the portal. And that is crucial to Matt Patricia's scheme. I mean, crucial. You go look at players he's utilized throughout his career in the NFL, and obviously now at Ohio State with K-Mac. I mean, and in the interviews, Matt Patricia talked about how crucial he is to what he wants to do on defense. You got to have that type of player, man. And, I was up in the air between James Smith or John Walker playing that position, but also Will Smith Jr.'s in there as well. When Will Smith Jr. got in the games this year, he made plays. Dude was in the backfield a lot, man. He really was. Kind of a lighter nose tackle type of guy. One that I guess a lot of Buckeye fans kind of, you know, crossed off their list to make a impact this year or the previous year, but he did. I mean, he could come in. K-Mac, you can't replace K-Mac, but he came in and there wasn't a whole lot missing with him on the field. He was able to do a good job coming in, backing him up. And then you got Jason Moore. I mean, Larry Johnson has talked about Jason Moore since he's got into this program. This will be his 4th year in the program. Larry Johnson has said he is, the perfect 3-tech. I think he said 3-tech. Yeah, for this defense. Big old guy. Got utilized a little bit this year when Matt Patricia did the heavy fronts, goal line stands. Jason Moore got put in. We'll see if he makes that. We'll see if he makes that next step. What I'm not going to do is count him out. A lot of people want to do that. A lot of people counted Tywone Malone out last year. When I did my videos last year, I said, "Hey, man, either Tywone Malone or Jason Moore is going to step up this year and be an impact player for the Buckeyes." Tywone Malone was the one that did that. We'll see what Jason Moore can do. He's still on this roster. Quite frankly, I'm a little bit surprised that he is. I almost expected him to enter the portal. But again, with what the Buckeyes did this last portal class and the fact that Jason Moore is still on this roster leads me to believe that the Buckeyes still have faith that he can possibly make an impact, but we'll see. Then you got the freshman coming in. You got Damari Simeon. He's on the lighter side, but I think he's the best freshman at the defensive tackle position we got coming in. I think he's got a high floor, but I think the one with the highest ceiling is Emmanuel, the freshman coming in out of Alabama, I believe. Dude looks like he trimmed some weight down, very quick, very athletic. And then obviously you got Perez coming in as well. But for the most part, I don't know that I see any freshman defensive tackles in this class coming in and making much of an impact. It's a hard one to grade here. I'm going to give the defensive tackle position kind of a lot of unknowns so far, but I'm just going to go with a solid 8, guys. What you guys going out of 10? The defensive tackle position for the Buckeyes. Um, they're just, does Edric Houston step up towards the end of the season? He started to look better. You know what I mean? And then you can go deeper with that. Should he have switched positions? Should Edric Houston be a defensive end or a defensive tackle? That's debate out there. A lot of people I see talking about, hey, man, they should have kept him at defensive end. But either way, he's a tackle now. And there's one person that I'm not going to second guess. And I don't know if other people learn lessons as fast as I do, but that is Larry Johnson. The past 5 years, Ohio State has the most production in the NFL at the defensive line position the past 5 years. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but there's this Twitter account that does that. It grades NFL production. And out of the past 5 years, the last chart I read, Ohio State is leading the way at the defensive line production with forced fumbles and sacks and tackles and all those other metrics that can be used as well. So I trust Larry Johnson here. I think the Buckeyes did a good job in the portal, bringing in John Walker, James Smith, 2 veteran players that did well at their last stops that have James Smith. When I did my ranking on the players I'm excited about, he was my number 1 player that I was excited about, minus the kicker. James Smith was. When I watch his film and I see the potential that he has, I'm excited to see what Matt Patricia does with somebody like him. And then Quay Rasal, kind of that versatile player. So we'll see what he does there. Linebacker position. James Laurinaitis. Well, first off, let's just remember, guys, we are coming off a season where we just watched Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese play linebacker, 2 first-round draft picks. But I got ahead of myself. Steely's got the defensive tackle position at an 8. Russ has an 8 as well. Matt, an 8 as well. Anybody else has anyone? Gio, was he really? James Smith was the number 1 ranked in the port. I did not know that. I did not know that. But good. That makes me sound way smarter now. And anything that makes me sound smarter, I agree with. So, Gio, I agree with that portal ranking. Number 1 defensive tackle. See, I knew it, guys. Knew it the whole time. I just totally knew it. Captain, defensive tackle, giving him an 8 as well. I like that rating. See what Bob has to say about it. LJ, stay on the staff for as long as competence possible at D-Line Recruiter Plus. Bob's got him at an 8 as well. Yeah, dude. I want LJ to stay as long as he possibly can. All right, here we go. Linebacker position. I started saying we're coming off a year where we watched 2 first-round draft picks. I saw a mock draft that have Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles both being in the top 10 draft picks this year. The top 10. What would that put? What would that put? You got, You got, would that not be wild if Caleb Downs, Carnell Tate, Sonny Styles, and Arvell Reese all went top 10? Has that ever happened before? Has there ever been 4 of the 10 uh, draft picks, top 10 draft picks, all from the same team? I think it's doable. Just depends what team need. All right, starters. I picked 3 starters here. James Laurinaitis said this year he considered Peyton Pierce a starter. There are people out there projecting. Yo, what up, V? Epi's dad. What's up, brother? Good to see you in the chat, man. You missed it. We already talked about Epi, so you're going to have to hit the rewind button if you want to hear what we have to say about him. I think you'll like it, hopefully. If you don't, you got my number. You can call me, yell at me, and all that stuff. I tried to be nice. Man. Love you, bro. Linebacker position. There's people out there talking about Peyton Pierce not being a starting linebacker this year. I disagree with that. I think Peyton Pierce is the biggest lock for starting linebacker on this team. I mean, look how he was utilized this year. James Laurinaitis loves him. I don't see that type of regression from Peyton Pierce at all. But then I have Riley Pettyjohn in the starting position as well. And Christian, the linebacker from Wisconsin, I have him in there as well. Christian is also another versatile player who can be utilized up on the defensive line as well. Big, strong, physical linebacker, kind of like both the linebackers that we just talked about. But in the backup position, we got TJ Alfred. I think he's the first one off the bench. I watched him get in a couple games this year. Coming off the edge, the dude is elite. Dude's a dog, man. I'm telling you, TJ Alfred is a dog, and the Buckeyes kept him around. You also got Garrett Stover on the roster as well. Super fast, very athletic, but the room is so crowded, man, with just athletic freaks. What James Laurinaitis has done recruiting this position is not being talked about enough. I saw a list of top 10 recruiters this year, and James Laurinaitis wasn't on it. But Braxton Lambert ended as a top 10 linebacker, and Sincere Johnson ended as the number 1 linebacker. So, all right, let's go, guys. I think James Laurinaitis is top 10 recruiter in the nation. So you got Garrett Stover as well, but crowded room. We'll see if he can make an impact. And then obviously Sincere Johnson coming in, the other freshman linebacker, Braxton Rembrandt. It's going to be cool to see how he is developed throughout his time here. But Sincere Johnson, guys, listen, my opinion straight up, is the dude physically ready to play the position? I think he is, and I think he will be. But there is so much asked of you on this linebacker position. James Laurinaitis really, really wants his linebackers to know how to play every linebacker position. And then after that, obviously, you're going to have that green dot. You got to know every defensive player's position and where they're supposed to be. So, I just, is he going to be used this year? Oh, yeah, I think he will. Definitely on special teams and things like that. But I see people talking about him possibly taking a starting role from somebody. No. Could he make his way into the 2 deep and fight for a spot there? I think so. Physically, for sure. Obviously, the dude is a 5-star plus linebacker recruit, which is funny, guys. It's funny to think about. You guys remember the Tyler Atkinson? I was big on Tyler Atkinson and everybody wanting him and all these, and he visited Ohio State and then didn't even give him an official visit and all those things, and everybody's freaking out about him. Sincere Johnson ends up rated higher than he is. I just got a little chuckle out of that. So I just wanted to share that with everybody, the little chuckles I get with these recruiting rankings. Linebacker position, I got it a 9 out of 10. I got a 9 out of 10. Again, Peyton Pierce, a lot of experience from this year. You add Riley Pettyjohn and Christian and TJ Alfred into that mix as well. Christian, a lot of experience as well. And I think he can push for a starting role as well. I got the linebacker position at a 9. What say you, chat? We got a 9 right here. And I'll see what everybody else gets to as well. Steely gives him a 9 as well. Matt gives him a 9. Geo's given it 8.5. I'll take it. I'll take it. Again, it's just there's some unknowns at some positions this year. Defensive end, there's a lot of film on all our defensive tackles that we got, so you know what you got there. People are just gonna have to take a step up. I like this right now. 8.5 potential, 9.5. Yeah. I agree. That the potential is this linebacker room has potential to be 10 out of 10. This linebacker room has the potential to be Sonny and Arvell type of linebacker room. Not the individual freaks that they were, but the production and just the play at linebacker. I think James has this. I think that is going to be our level moving forward. The level of linebacker play that we saw this year is, I think, what we are going to see out of the linebacker group here at Ohio State for the foreseeable future. That's just my opinion. That's a stretch. I know, everybody, but that's how I feel. Yo, what up, Don? What's up, brother? Here we go. IO, by the way, IO. Let's move to corner. I'm gonna throw. Yeah, I'll throw nickel into the corner conversation today, even though he should be. I should be talking about it as a safety, but I'm not going to. Geo is very high on the secondary. I am as well. I very confident in the secondary this year. Obviously, our 2 starting outside corners, Jermaine Matthews, Devin Sanchez. I think those are locks. I think that's a done deal. Obviously, there's going to be competitions held, but I think that's just a lock. And I think coming in behind them, uh, you got Dominic Kelly, Cam Calhoun, and Miles Lockhart on the roster as well. Miles Lockhart has played a little bit more in the nickel position from what I have seen. But Earl Little, I believe, is going to be our starting nickel on this roster from Florida State. Played safety as well. Very versatile player. So I love that out of him. But we got Jay Timmons and Jordan Thomas. Freshman coming in. Jay Timmons, a 5-star plus recruit at the corner position. But I'm going to share probably not a very popular take here, and this is based off of something I recently heard with how Jordan Thomas is looking in these early winter workouts. I think Jordan Thomas sees the field before Jay Timmons does. I think he's just more physical, ready to play the game of play for Ohio State. But I think that's diving super deep into it. There's not much you can go on with that other than just going in the program he came from, watching him play at the All-American, the game that he played in. Jay Timmons could quite well have a higher ceiling, but dude, I'm a huge Jordan Thomas fan. That's all there is. He's got the physical makeup as well to come in here. So I think this is one of the positions where you can see one of these freshmen making an impact. But I think the story of this room here, obviously Earl Little, but then Dominic Kelly coming from Georgia. They did not want to lose him. We interviewed him here on the channel. You can see the makeup that this young man has as a player. I mean, a super impressive interview, very smart, very good coverage skills. And the Buckeyes were stoked to get him. When I got the text about this, I was on a live show, guys. I think you remember it. I got like a boom with several exclamation points like, hey, this is going to rock your world. And it didn't, I'm not saying that it didn't, but I understand why people were like, dang, is that who Dev was talking about? That's not what I thought it was going to be, because I was talking like it's going to surprise a lot of people. But, if you dive into it and go look at the type of player he is at the coach's level, right? In the inside info on this kid is he's an absolute superstar potential. So I love the pickup here. Obviously, Cam Calhoun, this is like his fourth or fifth team that he's played for. Showed a lot of potential at Utah. We'll see which Cam Calhoun we get. But I think we got the depth here if you include the freshmen. And I think Jermaine, Devin, and Earl Little, with Earl at the nickel position, I think this is going to be the best corner group in the nation. Moving on to safety, and I feel the same. Ohio State will have the best secondary in the nation next year, but let's rate the cornerback position for this year. Jermaine Matthews, Devin Sanchez. Devin got a little bit more experience this year than some of the other younger guys we talked about. I got the outside corner position at a 9.5. I think Jermaine's really going to raise his draft stock. I think Devin Sanchez, we know the ceiling that he has, and Earl Little coming in at nickel, I think is a huge upgrade after what we saw last year. Just being honest with you. Lorenzo Styles was the dog, love him, all that stuff. But I think Earl Little is an upgrade there. Moving on to the safety position, Jalen McClain started as a sophomore. So was great in coverage this year, was great in run support, played beside Caleb Downs, learned from Caleb Downs, the starting safety beside him. Given that his injury is good to go, and I'm told it is, Terry Moore, the Duke safety, the All ACC safety, was injured all of 24. Was all of injured all of last year. The Buckeyes went and picked him up. He was actually the only safety, according to PFF, that was graded higher than Caleb Downs the year that he played. So Buckeyes stoked to get him. I absolutely stoked to get him. I pray that his injury holds up and he's made a full recovery. What I was told is, as much as you can be certain of it, the Buckeyes are that certain that he is good to go. And obviously, they know more about it than I ever will. That's what they do for a living. But, I think the Buckeyes literally did as good as they could possibly do with replacing Caleb Downs, because there's nobody you're going to go get where you're going to say, oh, good, we're not going to have a drop off here. It's just not going to happen. But when you combined Earl Little and Terry Moore into this defense with the experience that they have, I think you get pretty darn close. I think you get as close as you possibly could at replacing Caleb Downs in the impact that he had in this defense. I really do. So I love it. That'll do it. Yeah, I'm giving the secondary this year. With the safeties we brought in, the safeties get a 9.5 out of 10, and the corners get a 9.5 out of 10 for me as well. Let's see what you guys got. Geo, 9.8 corner. I love it. Jeremiah's got 8.5 now, 9.5 potential, 8.5. Bob said CB position rating, stock ceiling rising, a 9+. McClain rising star based on 25 finish. Yeah, absolutely he is. Got a 9.5. I love it. Yeah, he did. Earl, I watch FSU probably a little bit more than most, considering I can't literally throw a rock and hit the stadium, but that's just what I say for reference. I can hop in my truck and be there in 10 minutes. So I literally have free tickets to every one of their games for forever, essentially. So if anybody's in Tallahassee and wants to go to a game one day, hit me up. We'll go. We got a 9 and a 9 from Captain F Nuts. I like it. 9.5. Corner 8.5. Safety 9.5. I like it. Ron 9. I like it, man. Hey guys, remember this. I got this written in my notes somewhere, but out of the 31 scholarship players that we lost in the portal, when they walked out the door, we lost 7,000 snaps. And a lot of that was Tegra Shabola. Started 2 full years for us. the 17 players they brought in also brought in 14,000 snaps of experience. And obviously, most of that was on the defensive side of the ball. So I think the Buckeyes knocked it out of the park with what was available. It's going to be really hard to replace the defense that we had this year. One of the best defenses I've ever seen come through Ohio State ever, personally. And the statistics show that they broke a lot of records this year in scoring and those type of things, or not records, but they broke very long-standing records, and they were just absolutely elite with what they did. So I'm going to be hard to replace that, but with Matt Patricia coming back and with all the experience they brought in, I'm stoked for this defense this year. I am. I really am. I'm glad things worked out the way they worked out. Minus a couple of players I wish stuck. I mean, Aaron Scott, I wish he would have stayed around. Fahim Delane, I wish he would have stayed around. Jarquez Carter, I wish he would have stayed around. But, none of those guys, I wouldn't trade any of those guys. I wouldn't trade Jarquez Carter for James Smith. I wouldn't trade Aaron Scott for Dominic Kelly. And I wouldn't trade Fahim Delane for Terry Moore. Would you guys? Would you guys do that? Would you guys trade those, guys for those three? I'm not saying that's how it works, but maybe it's the way that I'm coping with the players that we lost this year. But either way, I think the Buckeyes rocking and rolling, man. And they are. I'm gonna be doing a 2027 recruiting video here soon. I got to do it because there are some changes to what the Buckeyes are doing in their recruiting class. And it started last year. We saw how they ended with 5 5-stars, but this year, some things are changing. They're after several first round talent type of players in this 27 class. It's going to be a smaller class, but it is going to be top heavy. We got Jameer Brown, number 1 wide receiver. We got DJ Jacobs, number 1 defensive end. They're going after Jalen Brewster, the number 1 defensive lineman. So the Buckeyes, man, they're going after Mark Matthews, the number 1 offensive tackle. They're going after John Meredith, the number 1 cornerback. They're going after who's that 5-star safety that Matt Guerrieri was just visiting, the number 1 safety in the nation. So, bro, they going after the big dogs here. David Gabriel Georges. So they're going after him, and they're going to pay for him because you either pay for him now or you pay more in the portal. That's what it is. But it comes down to whether the Buckeyes, Mark Pantoni broke it down perfect for us. If you got any questions about how Ohio State operates in the recruiting world, go watch the video me and Nevada did yesterday. It'll answer all the questions for you. It came directly from Mark Pantoni, the guy that leads the charge for Buckeye recruiting. Let's get to these super chats, y'all. Steely, thanks for the $1.99, brother. Good to see OG Bob Googs back. We missed you. Bob, I'm going to be honest, man. I did. I missed the crap out of you, man. I was wondering, maybe I should have asked, but I was like, dude, I hope I didn't do something to upset Bob because I enjoyed, when when you're in the chat, your responses, all that, you are engaged, man. You're engaged in these videos. You put really thoughtful comments in the chat. Love having you here, Bob. Great super chat, Steely. Gio, another all-star in the chat, man. Thanks for the $5. Dominic Kelly, future star. Love Terry Moore at safety. His 2024 tape is elite. Yeah, Terry Moore's tape is elite. If we get that version of Terry Moore, we're golden at the safety position. And Dominic Kelly is going to be the 3rd corner. He's going to be the first corner off the bench this year. It's going to happen. If Jermaine Matthews or Devin Sanchez need a break, Dominic Kelly is coming in to replace them. That is my take on that situation. Gia, thanks for the $2. Again, brother. Kicker ranking 10. Absolutely, man. I think I did the special teams in my offensive breakdown. But yeah, Connor Hawkins, 10 out of 10. And like I told you before, in the kicking coaching world, Connor Hawkins was respected as one of the top kickers in the nation. And also, Dalton Riggs, the UCF long snapper that we got, was, I mean, a lot of people, Ryan Day called him the best long snapper in the nation. And I know that's boring, okay, but it's a pretty big deal to go out and get an elite long snapper, okay? How many times have we watched? I mean, you watched the long snapper this year in the Illinois game. I hate saying this because now we have their special teams coordinator, but we have the best long snapper, so it's not his fault. But I mean, we watched the long snapper snap it short. What happened? Punter caught the ball, knee down, turnover on downs. That solidified the game just absolutely being over. But hey, y'all, again, appreciate you guys for watching the show. I've got several more shows written, ready to go. So we'll get those out to you. It's the off season. It's a little bit harder. We're going to get Sade on here. Sade's going to join me for a show next week. So show him some love in the chat. Give him some confidence. He's got this thing. So we might be seeing a little bit more of him on here as well. I'm going to be excited about that. Next week, Rashad Streets is supposed to be on, as well as Kellen Weimer. And I'm hoping to get Jalen Brewster back on the show. And also Maxwell Hiller, the 5-star #1 interior offensive lineman, just came off a visit with the Buckeyes. Another one. I forgot to mention that they're going after the #1 interior offensive lineman. And when I say going after, I mean they just visited every one of those prospects. I think they visited the #1 prospect at every position in the nation. So they ain't playing. But guys, appreciate you. As always, love you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH.